tracking better. So an okay for the moment is truly.
We paid for the entirety of class. I think I did 25 twice. That was the entire 2,000 the entire summer.
All right. If I could have everyone's attention, I think I'll get started. We'll let some people trickle in if they need to, but I also want to get going because I'm excited. I do have notes on my phone. It's a new presentation kind of concept that we're pushing, and so I'm really excited about it. I'm also a bit nervous, so hopefully that's not too rude. Today we're going to be talking about intentional experience design. This is about creating events and tastings or anything, even parties, that people want to come to and are comfortable coming to. I am Zach Sapato. I'm an event designer and bartender, hospitality person originally from Minnesota in the US, but I live now in Glasgow, Scotland. So, yeah, Scotland fans. So this is a passion project of mine because I'm Greek Mexican. The Greek side is what we're going to be talking about today with this Greek strawberry spirit. The concept of philokimo is the Greek hospitality. If you've ever heard of like omotenashi, I think that's the right one in Japanese culture. Philokimo is the Greek version of hospitality. There is no direct translation because it is a vague concept that all Greeks just kind of grow up learning. And that hospitality comes from giving of yourself and making it a moment of care. So being as hospitality professionals, we all understand the care that is associated with needing to create experiences. But I think that there's some concepts that people miss along the way. And so if you've ever heard of, this is what happens. Thank you for understanding. If you've ever heard of user-focused design, this is a thing in the UX, UI experience that people, when I first heard about this concept, it was a long time ago, and they were like, user-focused design when you're creating things for a user. And to me, and I think to a lot of us, that's quite obvious. If you're having a party, think about the people who are coming to the party. But it is interesting that people do need to be told that every once in a while. So this is philokimo, hospitality, and all of that is also tied in together with user-focused design. And so that's what intentional experience design is. So the first concept of that is try. These are all going to be very, very general concepts. Try, consider. All things we all know how to do, but again, if we approach this from an informed perspective, a research perspective, then we can take things that we already know how to do and apply that to our experience design and our events. So, effort is simple, but I do think that it is sometimes rare. When we are throwing a party, it's easy to just be like, we'll throw the party, people will come, it'll be fun, and they'll deal with it. But little things such as how they're going to come in. I've gone to lots and lots of tastings in my life, I'm sure you have as well. I hate when I show up to a tasting and the person talks to me about the product for 3 hours before giving me a daiquiri. If you're talking about rum, give me a daiquiri on the way in the door, please. And so that is why you have the fraulala in front of you. The fraulala is a highlighting of the straw bar. It was built for a straw bar competition, but they wanted something that pulled the Greekness out of it, but also highlighted all of the flavors around it. So straw bar has this like smoky note that's from the distilled strawberries. It has like bright fresh notes, but it also has dry, like kind of berry compote notes. So all of those, hopefully, are obvious in this first cocktail. I do identify as a try-hard, so I think that is sometimes embarrassing. I think if any of us have ever been on a dating app and we've said, well, I don't want to seem desperate, I don't want to seem like I'm trying too hard, but I am learning to unabashedly be a try-hard. I also think that it's important that we take responsibility for our events and show people that we're trying hard. Hopefully all of you have seen today that I am working really hard to create this event, to care about you, to show you how much I care to make you comfortable. And that's where the Greek philokimo comes in, that's where the user design comes in. And so when I talk about taking responsibility, I mean for what you're designing, who you're reaching, and what your event is how your event is gonna impact people. I hear a lot of event people say like, oh, I held a tasting and it was all white dudes in the room. And you're like, yeah, great. That's some people, but like, who'd you invite? How did you create the list? How did you pick who you invited? I went to a tasting last week with a very large liquor brand, and it was all people who look like me. And while I might feel comfortable in that room, there's a lot of people who wouldn't feel comfortable in that room. And so I think taking responsibility for those people's emotions, those people's comfort is important. A lot of you obviously have been to events where you just didn't feel like you belonged. And so taking responsibility, figuring out how you do your invite demographics works, because going back to this event, I asked the brand rep, I said, how do you craft who you invite? And they said, we don't have any company direction on who we invite to events. So if you run a company, if you run a bar, having a direction, having a mission for when you set out to make an event, who do we want to show up, what do we want that room to look like, and how do we make it look like that with who we invite? So that's an important aspect for making sure that people are going to feel comfortable and are going to feel like they are welcomed if they walk in and there are other people who are like them in there. I talk about better is better because I want you to know that you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. This event isn't perfect. None of us will be perfect, but if we can do better each event, if we can learn, if we can grow, if we make the next event better than the last event, we will be better. And that's better. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but just if you give a shit and you want to invest in your stuff, invest in yourself, invest in your events, and figure out who you're trying to reach and how they want to be reached. Also, if you have a chance at all this session or any other bar conference, go to anything by Chucky Tom, go to anything by Caitlin Wilkes, who's sitting here in the front row. Any of these people will tell you everything you need to know about collaborating with the community that you're trying to reach. So that is, those resources are out there. That's not exactly what I'm here to talk about, but I am wanting you to pay attention to how you're getting better, how you're changing and growing. The last bit of this is be open to correction. If you've done something disrespectful or harmful, again, Chucky Tom has a resource that was just unveiled at the session yesterday. It's called the Jordy Technique. Again, that's on all of the social media for Chucky Tom. But be open to correction. After this, if you're like, I have an idea that you could have done better, or I have a thing that you could have corrected, I want you to receive correction as collaboration, not as criticism. Even if it is criticism, if you interpret it into a little bit of collaboration and you say, this is a way I can make my presentations better in the future, then that will help you and more people will want to come to your events later. This comes to consideration. I think that a lot of us are very familiar in the bar industry with considering details. Glass, ice, coaster, chair, everything matters in the bar, music, temperature. But I think that considering the impact is just now starting to be more of a conversation around this. So considering the details, what I tell people about that is have an answer for everything. If you're creating a new bar, a new cocktail, a new anything, a new event, try to think as much as you can, and then just have an answer. When somebody says, why'd you pick that glass? Have an answer. In this case, it's because that's what they have in the kitchen. And, but when why'd you pick that ice? Why'd you pick that ingredient for that? Look into what you're using, consider the details of that, and then consider the impact of that. So, I really wanted to make this event considering your experience. I wanted cocktails coming every 10 minutes. I wanted easy, welcoming things. That's kind of why I went out and stood out there, is because I was like, hopefully you felt this, that I was welcoming to you when you came in, and that you were coming into a space where people care about you. And again, in Greek culture, that philotimo is, there's a downside to it where if you don't show the right philotimo, people will be like, well, did you even care? But that's the Greeks. Again, going back to, this is all stuff I added in yesterday because I learned it yesterday at Chalky's talk. But environmentally, the environmental impacts of things is like, who's the producer? Like, who makes it? What is it? Where does it come from? Is it used? How is it normally used? All of those things can be obviously super impactful to your event, because if you are using something that you have no connection to, no familiarity with, and it has a negative impact, you're alienating that person and you're ruining the event. If someone does something in one of these scenarios where you feel alienated, you have to sit there and listen to me and be like, this guy sucks. But hopefully that's not the case again. The next thing I'm going to talk about is pairing. So there's a lot of resources out there for food pairing. This is my interpretation, my system that I teach people when they're talking about pairing. FlavorDB, food pairing, flavor thesaurus, algorithm. Algorithm's a book, flavor thesaurus is a book, food pairing is a website, you have to pay for it. FlavorDB is free but more sciencey, and you'll see that in a minute. But for me, I kind of gravitate towards these three main principles of food pairing. Harmony, which is an orderly pleasing of parallels. That's what this first cocktail is, parallels. Strawberry, what else are you gonna put in it? Strawberry syrup, what else are you gonna put in it? Red bitter that has strawberry notes. So that is the harmony. And so it's just a big strawberry bomb. If you love strawberry, it's just a strawberry punch in the face in the good way. Dissonance is a thing that means a couple of different stuff in different realms. I mean it in the poetry realm. The poetry realm kind of expresses it as a deliberate avoidance of parallels. Cacophony of flavors is a way I like to think of it. Things can work together in dissonance. So I think there's a cocktail coming at the end that is a very dissonant cocktail. And then narrative. This next cocktail has a narrative to it. If a flavor doesn't necessarily work scientifically, it still can if you connect it. If you make it connected and you show people why you're giving it to them and what there is to do. So this is from FlavorDB. This is the flavor matrix. So FlavorDB has 32 categories. So all of these where there's just a little bitty gap is a category. This is obviously the berries one. And they have 32 categories and they're connected by flavor molecule. So all of these are, you can click on any one and it'll bring up the flavor molecule. This is strawberries. Strawberry has a lot of shared flavor molecules with a lot of things. It's one reason why it's so widely used. It's also one reason why it's easy to pair. You can put it with a lot of things. But what if you want to put it with something that doesn't necessarily make sense right off the bat? Caraway has 0 shared flavor molecules. This is also, I want you to take this with a grain of salt, that the flavor molecules don't always dictate how flavorful, like how something's going to match together as well. So use it as a tool rather than a gospel. Come on. So strawberries obviously have tons and tons of flavor connections. They share molecules. Like if you think about split base between strawbar and calvados, let's say. This is the thing I've been saying, not because you're just in the room. But strawberries and apples share 188 flavor molecules, which is the most of any other strawberry pairing, but caraway has none. Caraway can work with strawberry, but I think the important thing is that we use obvious bridges. That's a bridge. Quite obviously. Thank you. Cool. So this is actually a bridge in Scandinavia, which I feel quite proud of because it's a Scandinavian cocktail. This cocktail was created from my time when I was living near Scandinavia in Estonia and was traveling between the two a lot. This cocktail comes because I wanted to take something that was very far away, like caraway, and connect it. So the aquavit in this shouldn't, according to FlavorDB, work with the strawberry. But it does, sorry, it does because caraway works with cucumber, and we know that because it's paired with it all the time in Scandinavian cuisine. So we can take flavor pairing notes from Scandinavian cuisine and work with those to then build this obvious bridge. So yeah, so strawberry and cucumber actually have 108 flavor molecules in common. Cucumber and caraway have 2. So that, again, shouldn't, on the scale of 188 to 2, shouldn't really work. But it does, because there's a cultural connection, there's a narrative around that. And so I've had this beautiful caraway sauce on a cracker with strawberries and cucumbers. And that's what this cocktail is about. This is me sharing a meal I had in Estonia with you, and hopefully in a way that makes it really delightful, really easy. This also has, full disclosure, I'm never gonna lie to you, this also has lemon juice instead of lime juice because prep is sometimes hard and you spill things. But I just wanted to be truthful with y'all. But this is just a way that you can build that bridge between 2 things, share a part of yourself, and give of yourself to your guests. And so I wanted to connect with y'all, to be in the room, having you at least have a hint of something that is meaningful to me, a place that I call home. And that's where this cocktail becomes, that's where it works. And that's where, again, when people are in the room, they can feel like you care about them by you giving of yourself to them. All of this stuff can seem kind of woo-woo, right? It's like, oh yeah, like give of yourself and do all that. But at the end of the day, people, there's that old cliche quote of like, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's what I'm here to show you. I want you to walk away from this, if nothing else, knowing that I care about you. And that's what Philokimo is. That is what my interpretation of hospitality is. After growing up Greek and living in a couple of different places, I keep going back to this Greek connection for how I reach people around me. So storytelling is a way you can do that, sharing your culture, tapping into your nostalgia, tapping into someone else's nostalgia. I think we've all had a cocktail that we've like tried it, and I don't know why I'm making this with me. We've all had a cocktail. This is the cocktail hand motion. That you try it and you're like, whoa, this reminds me of that one day in my past. Great. That's what we want from you. We want cocktails. Cocktails can be flavor paired, they can be cool, they can be interesting, they can be 7 times distilled. It has to mean something to either you or them, or otherwise it's just like, yeah, this is a great cocktail, fine. But when it comes to creating experiences, there's in emotionally focused therapy, it's called EFT. This is a practice of psychology. There's a phrase that when your emotions are turned on, your body presses record. So the body remembers emotions, remembers things that you feel connected to. So you can, again, have wonderful cocktails all weekend long, but if you have one that has a bit more care to it, if you have one that shows you I care about you, shows you that I'm trying to tap into maybe your nostalgia, that obviously with this like international of a crowd, I kind of had to just kind of pick and choose of a thing that hopefully was around. I mean, and strawberries everywhere. But that is a way that we can make more memories. And then when you're talking about intentional experiences, you want things that are connecting to people's memories so that they remember your event, your tasting, your presentation, or your product. A lot of you are here representing products, and you have a lot of noise to compete with. You can break through that noise. Strawbar is down in room 11-1, C31, little plug. You can come taste it, and it's a wonderful booth. Our hope is that you're gonna remember us, and you're gonna remember our interaction, and you're gonna connect to us a bit more or differently than you would at another booth, and you'll remember Strawbar for that reason. You'll come to things like this because we connected with you, because we gave you our heart. I say cheesy things sometimes. I do also want to say that, like, just a quick asterisk is that taste is still quite a mystery. How the brain works and how the taste buds work are just now starting to become more and more obvious. So taste is, again, a tool. It is not everything. It doesn't have to be everything in your cocktail. It can, but if you connect more things to that, to you, to them, then it's just gonna make more memories. Yeah, let's see. Okay, but I also wanted to talk about examining your experience design, going with how you've done things in the past, how you've approached those things in the past. When you have a takeover at your bar, do you prepare in advance and like make sure that you're using the right ingredients, make sure that you're connecting people and knowing that the guest list, knowing who's coming and why they're coming and like what they want out of that event? Or do you just throw a party and make it about you? Sorry if I'm getting real personal here for a second, but I think that that's what hospitality is about, and sometimes people lose that, where they're like, I'm throwing a party, it's for me. But I think it's really, really important just to like check in with yourself sometimes, like even like the best experienced designers that I know check in with themselves every single time of who am I talking to, what do I want to get across, and when they're preparing, they prepare what they want you to know and how they want you to walk away from their session rather than how you're going to think of that. And that's just, again, some of you may be like, yeah, duh, what? This is just natural empathy. But again, when we have opportunities to talk to bartenders, brand designers, things like that, I always wanted to reinforce that that's what we want you going away thinking about. We have our next cocktail coming in. This one is a strawberry and coffee pairing. So strawberry and coffee have 77 flavor molecules in common. That's kind of a lot, but people don't know that. So this one's just like a really fun revolver riff. If you don't know what a revolver is, it's normally rye and coffee liqueur and orange bitters. This is straw bar with coffee, brandy, and orange bitters. It's a bit more potent, punchy. And so this is just sip it nicely. It's meant to dilute over ice and be enjoyed slower and more intentionally, let's say. This one's called Black Boots Red Hair. A pal of mine just absolutely loves revolvers. She wears black boots every single day and she has red hair. But again, thinking about, that is a story, yeah.
I want to ask, you said the strawberry has 7 flavor molecules and
77, strawberry and coffee on the wheel.
But how do you know that?
So FlavorDB has lists. I'll go back to this thing.
Is that a website?
Yeah, FlavorDB.
I mean, this cycle, like,
Yeah.
do you get it from chemistry? I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you get this?
This is a resource that anybody can use. Right now it's free because they're still building it. If you just type in FlavorDB, I'll go back to where you can actually see it. There. That first thing under the word pair,
What DB stands for?
I have absolutely no idea.
Database.
Database, there you go. This is why we collaborate. Yeah, Flavor Database, it's a resource that anybody can use. And you can get the wheels, you can pair things side by side. It's a little clunky of a website because it's designed by scientists, but they're trying, and that's what we care about, is that they're trying. But it's an amazing resource, a lot of fun facts. Again, not to be used as like your be-all, end-all decision maker.
You have to try it.
Yeah, testing things, but yeah, but working with straw bar, we just kind of found out that it works good with coffee, probably because we drink it in the morning sometimes. But this is a way that you can express it in a little bit more factual of a way. You can't just be like, well, it tastes good together because it tastes good together. You can be like, it tastes good together because it has shared flavor molecules.
Question? Is that all right?
Yeah,
I
we can do questions. We're rolling into
I
questions.
feel like question time.
I love that.
So, in your experience as a bartender and as someone who also works a little bit in sort of brand and event design, I would say bartenders are focused on two things. One is pretty much flavor. We get really nerdy about it. It feels like that's the consensus in the
Yeah,
room.
we are very nerdy about flavor, and that's wonderful. I
To know
love
about
that.
flavor, DB, and things like that. But it's obvious that you're trying to talk a lot about connection and nostalgia
Right.
and storytelling. In your experience, how do you find the best way to bridge those things? To bring, is it through those stories like you're telling us, like I was in Estonia, things like that, or is that the best way to deliver those cocktails?
So for me, the question for those of you who can't hear is, in summation, correct me if I'm wrong, is like how do you best deliver storytelling, nostalgia, connection to a cocktail experience or a event experience, rather, as well as food pairing and flavor molecules. So for me, there's simple ways you can do it. If you're hosting an event, I think, and this is a personal opinion, you can change it if you want, I think someone should stand up and welcome people, should say hello, say thank you for coming, say probably the brand who's sponsoring it, the brand will be very happy with that. But also, there's things like tone and approach and wording, word choice even, in those scenarios that you can show people that you really invested in this and you are actually grateful. If you tap into that gratitude and just show them right from the beginning, again, that will just connect them more to the event, let them know that there's a human behind this event. It's not just an event designer or a consultancy company that's just like pumping out events. It's actually, what? Yeah, ChatGPT didn't design this event. So I think that there's little ways. A welcome speech is one of the easiest ways. If you're a bartender, or if you are working a stand out here, a booth, then just making sure that, I know it can get exhausting, I know it can get tiring, but every single person that comes up to your booth is this, I mean, again, it's quite cheesy, but I'm a quite cheesy person. It's an opportunity for a pal. And so you can invest in them in that moment. You might have to, like, after each one, kind of take like a mental eye close and then reset. But if you can, we can't be at 100%. I'm not saying you need to be at 100% for every single person that comes to your booth. But if you have 80%, if you have 40%, give them that 40%. Invest in them what you have, and then they'll feel that, I think. So a lot of you in this room have been to the Straw Bar booth. You've talked to me at different events. Hopefully you can feel that in each interaction I'm giving you what I got. And if you're out of space, communicating that can also help. Communication, working with people to be authentic and tell them where you are, I think is really important to intentional experience design, because the first word of the talk is intentional, and you need to convey your intentions in a way that you can. And not saying that like you're gonna announce, I did all this because I care about you and now you should think I'm great. Again, it's not about us, it's about the guests, it's about the people in the room. Today, it's about you. And I want you to have the experience you want, and I want you to feel the intention behind that. And so, even something as simple as like, on the coaster, having like a one-sentence thing of this is what it is. If you're just pumping out samples, there's a brand here that is paper clipping just a little square thing about their cocktail on each cup. You can use that space to convey whatever you want, to convey meaning, to convey connection, or say, we want this to take you back to adolescence. If it's like I don't know, for me, like if we do like a bubblegum cocktail, we want this to take you back to adolescence. Or a simple question of, where were you when you think of bubblegum, where are you in your life? Simple things like that will just connect it more. If I have a bubblegum cocktail, I don't really like the flavor of bubblegum. I'm gonna drink it and be like, yeah, great, this is a well-balanced bubblegum cocktail. But if I have a thing on it that says, where were you when you think about bubblegum, where are you in your life? That's a whole other experience. That's an emotional, connected experience, because there's a piece of paper on my drink, you know?
So you're saying basically the key to that connection between flavor pairing and storytelling is to invoke emotion.
Yeah, that's the thing, that's where the connection comes around, is making things have more connection, more emotion. I think connection to me creates emotion. When I make a drink for you that you chose, or that we work together on choosing, we're connected, you feel safer, you feel more enthusiastic about that experience and about that bar, or that brand, or whatever. When you come to my booth and I'm working and I'm trying to give you all I can, then you feel that, and then that. I can't dictate what your emotions are going to be, but hopefully there's the connection that inspires that. Go ahead.
How does that translate into daily operations of a bar that has a very specific concept? Like you have to follow certain guidelines of a concept that's someone else's, you just work there.
Yeah.
And how do you make it work if that's not your style at all? You just have to fit into the part. Right?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of different ways to do that. Trying to, and these are just ideas off the cuff, trying to get enthusiastic about what you're doing, I think is helpful in that thing. Connection is kind of, especially when it's like product related, that I once heard a phrase that sales is the transfer of enthusiasm. So the transfer of enthusiasm, if you're excited about it, you have to figure out ways to get them excited about it. And especially in the bar, if you just work there and you're working a specific concept, it's not necessarily connected to you, you can show that you're working hard, you can show that you are taking care, you can make sure that their water's filled, like little things like that let them know that you care about them. That's goes back to the Greek philokimo and the care associated with that. But then, again, giving them what you have, connecting your enthusiasm to their experience. They're there because they want that concept.
Yeah.
And so even if you aren't excited about that concept, because we all have had jobs where we're like, yeah, I don't care. But even if you're not really excited about the concept, you can be excited that they're excited, right? We're creating their experience. And if I could care less about this strawberry cocktail, right? Like if you all work at the Straw Bar and you're like, I don't really care about strawberries. The people who are coming are excited about strawberries, so delivering that experience and kind of the like, yeah, I'm happy for you type of attitude to that will help them want to come back to you specifically.
It will reflect on you, I think.
It definitely reflects on you.
When
And
you
some
see the
people,
excitement of others,
yeah,
it will reflect on you automatically.
yeah. Some people don't feel that, which is different than how I operate, but but to each their own. Yeah, so the other thing, do we have more questions? I was just gonna like do a point quickly, and I'll do one last point. If you have more questions, I'll definitely answer those. The other thing I wanted to talk about was part of the check-in examining your events. Who's cheering for you? If you're running an event and everyone coming up and cheering for you is the same or is not your target demographic, you might not be representing yourself in the way that you want. If you want to connect to people who are in the bar community, so I run a hospitality community in Scotland, and I want to connect to the bar community. Yeah, you can roll those out whenever you're ready. If I want to connect to people in the bar community, but all the bar owners are cheering for me and for what I do and saying that my events are perfect, great. But I want to examine that because if I'm trying to reach the workers, this is a little political, but if I want to reach the workers, the owners cheering for me, if none of the workers are cheering for me for these events, then I'm not reaching them, I'm not connected to the community. And this just goes back to making sure that you're doing the research before, you're considering who you're trying to go to, you're being intentional about your guest list. And the event that you create, if it doesn't serve that community, why are you doing it? What purpose is that event? Does it bring something to that community that they can then benefit from? Does it bring value to that community? Or does it are you bringing together a community that brings value to a cause, right? So think about who's cheering for you, who's rooting for you, who's helping you plan, and then who's helping you decompress after that. And all of those things, if all of those are the right people in your head, then you're going the right direction. This is the dissonance cocktail. It is a strawberry, honey, and wasabi cocktail. It won't be for everyone. If you don't like wasabi, you probably won't like it. But this is an example of dissonance. I really, really like strawberry, honey, and wasabi together, but they are, they feel, this is a little synesthesia in the mouth, they feel a bit wrong. A little clunky maybe, but it balances, well I'm just saying like that's the dissonance. because the flavors aren't natural flavor pairings according to science, doesn't mean that they don't work. And this is the dissonance, the chaos a little bit, cacophony. Do we have other questions? So I do want to say thank you. We're at 2:15, so I just wanted to make sure that we get out of here in time. Yeah, that. Thank you so much. If you need help with anything, I'm at Sapato on socials. If you want advice or whatever, I may not be the person to talk to, but I will help you find the person to talk to. I have had lots and lots of help finding the right people to talk to, even to work on this stage. And so I have been so, so grateful. One of the ways I'm going to return that favor is to pass that on. So if you're doing events, if you want to know how to connect to certain people, certain communities, I will help you. If you're ready for like a wall of excited text, just ask me a question on Instagram, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. We'll have some tastes for you as you exit. We have tastes of Strawberry Platinum, which is the triple distilled strawberry spirit. It's got that fresh strawberry note, but a little bit more of the smoke that comes from that. And then, so yeah, at Sapato is how you contact me, and then I'll help you contact whoever you want, within reason. And then, really, how I want you to go away from this is knowing that the Greek philokimo can be utilized by anyone. You just have to invest in creating your intentional experiences, being considerate, trying hard, and just working with who you want to work with. Thanks.